maybe listen to the speaker. No matter what, just let it go.
Pop, persuadable. What is going on, boo-boos? We are gonna do an anime review, but first, how about a dad joke? I know. I haven't done them in a while. We gotta bring this back because I always steal these jokes from online, and they're always terrible, and I laugh at them. What is an astronaut's favorite tea? Gravity. Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to do the best that I can to pronounce all these names. I'm going to blow ass at it. And then I'm going to try to avoid saying their names as much as possible. But more importantly, there's no spoilers with this review. My job is to tell you if I like it and the premise of it. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So again, spoiler free. I'm going to read. Actually, before I read that from Crunchyroll, this has some pretty good reviews. It's only in season 1. It's got a 4.9 rating on Crunchyroll with about 3.5k reviews. And on my anime list, I think it's currently ranked 311 for Aaron Animes. And on top of that, it's got about an 8.2 rating out of 132,000 reviews. So a little bit of discrepancy in the score, but overall, the basic premises is that a lot of people like this anime, so I wanted to give it a shot. But I want to read Crunchyroll's description of this anime because it's just fucking awful, and it confused me. I almost stopped watching this anime by episode 1 because I was just confused. The opening scene's amazing. The opening scene will make you feel like you're on a real battlefield. It's really good. It was probably the only thing that was encouraging me to continue with the anime. And that's just my perspective of it. But I'm going to show you Crunchyroll's description of it, why it's trash, and then I'm going to try to describe it a little bit better without giving any spoilers. So let's do this shit. So, reading from Crunchyroll, called Juggernaut. Now, I have photos to help with this. These are the unmanned combat drones developed by the Republic of San Magnolia in answer to the attacks by the autonomous unmanned drones of the neighboring empire of Jihad, the Legion. Probably messed that up. But they're only unmanned in name. In reality, they are piloted by the 86ers, those considered to be less than human and treated as mere trash. Or tools. Or both. Determined to achieve his own mysterious end, Shin, the captain of Spearhead Squadron, which is comprised of 86ers, continues to fight a hopeless war on a battlefield where only death awaits him. Okay. So again, the reason why I'm starting this with pretty much a synopsis of what you're looking at, again, no spoilers, is because I was so fucking confused on what was happening. So let's break this down a little bit, all right? So pretty much you have the Republic. And the Republic, these are the good guys, so to speak, is comprised of 2 people. You have the Alba, and you can see similarities among all the people. They are the ruling class. And the Alba are inside their kingdom, and they're safe. And then they have the 86ers, who are part of the Juggernauts, or who use Juggernauts to battle. So these folks are considered trash. They're not considered real humans. They are thrown into those Juggernauts. Juggernauts go after the Legion, and pretty much every time one of their Juggernauts gets killed, somebody inside them dies. Now the people of Alba are being told that the Republic are losing no lives, that it's an ethical, humane war. Well, they say that because they consider the 86ers as trash. The Alba consider the 86ers as trash and not real people, not deserving of the bloodline, so they're thrown into those Juggernauts to fight the enemies. Autonomous machinery, that's all we really know at first. Okay? Now, among the ruling class, you have a major. Okay, now she's in the military and she's considered the handler. So she pretty much helps whatever squadron she's provided. So I'm going to make an attempt to say her name. I'm going to fuck it up and then we're going to move on. All right. This is Major Milize. I know I fucked that up, but it took me over 15 years of special training just to speak English. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to say any of these other names, but I tried. She is part of the Alba, the ruling class. And she is a handler. So pretty much what she does is she's in a big kingdom behind safe walls, providing intel to the 86ers and trying to give them information and trying to help them with every single battle that they're going into. These are the 86ers who are in the middle of the war. She's trying to provide them intel over a little handheld device, or it's not handheld, but a little mechanical device. Okay? The main characters pretty much will be the Major and then Shin. So Shin is pretty much kind of like the leader of the squad on the battlefield. He's in there using juggernauts to kill the enemies, and she's the one that's trying to provide intel. So really what the premise of season 1 is this complex role, because here's the thing, the Major, she is well known for considering these folks' lives. So for the most part, the 86ers, these folks that you see, whenever they have a handler, the handler don't give a fuck about them. They don't really talk, they don't interact. The handler pretty much just helps you win the battle, if that, and then moves the fuck on. But the Major doesn't consider them less than people. She considers them people. And these folks here have never been considered equal by their handlers because they're just considered trash and as tools. So the premise of season 1 is that complex interaction between the squadron and her, as she's trying to treat them like humans and treat them like people, but they hate the Alba, some of them, so much because they've lost millions of lives in this war where they've all been disregarded as trash. Now, in this anime, you're also going to have the Major who has to have this confrontation, because as she tries to advocate for her squadron, there's pushback from those who are within their own military. Some people in the military consider those folks as not human. Some of them do. Some of them consider them as human, but there's nothing that they can do because it's part of a wider government societal standard that they're not capable of fixing, so therefore they don't try. And you also have people who are rebellious and who are part of the Alba, and they go and help the 86 because they refused to see what happens with the 86ers. So really, this anime is that complex notion of trying to figure out what exactly is the relationship between the Alba and the 86ers, as well as why they're classified the way they are, and also the dynamic between her and the squadron. Will the squadron accept her? Will they actually reciprocate those feelings for her? Can they be mutually exclusive or inclusive, whatever? So that's kind of like really what the gist is, but it's a really high-paced, high-combat sort of anime. So as it's trying to describe the relationship between her and them and building that relationship up, it's got similar vibes to Attack on Titan. Very similar vibes. You can't get too attached to a character. You have no idea who's going to die. People die really quickly, rapidly. I mean, it's a war, and that's what it is. And that's one of the staples of what Attack on Titan was really about. So that's the basic gist of it. And as the series goes on, she needs to figure out her role in terms of the Juggernauts, and she needs to figure out how much can she actually help these folks. What does the government plan on doing with them? What do they plan on doing for themselves? And who is this mysterious enemy, and can they win, and how will they win, and what is the ultimate strategy? What's the end game? And it gets better and better, faster and faster, and it's a really good anime. Now, the first half, now we're going to just talk about my review of it. So I don't think it deserves 4.9 stars, but I think season 2 is going to talk more. I think season 2 is going to define this anime for a lot of people. The first season of this anime was really trying to explain the complex role of society and the relationship between the Alba and the 86ers, as well as trying to build up the relationship between the 86ers and the Major. But mixed in that was a lot of high, fast-paced action, and oftentimes in the beginning of the series, I felt extremely lost, but with Attack on Titan, I kind of did as well. And as the series goes on, you get explained more and more things. Now, like I said, I was very confused in the beginning. I wish that I would have looked at somebody explaining what the basic premise is, because Crunchyroll's description was awful. I think the artwork is beautiful. The voice actors, I always watch subbed, so I'm not a huge critic on voice actors. If it sounds reasonable, I'm happy. The artwork, I don't pay too much attention to artwork. It's either visually appealing or not. You have people who go through like scene by scene to see like fucking squiggly lines and shit, and then they say it's bad artwork. I don't pay attention to any of that shit. I either like it or I don't. I'm a pretty simple fucking guy. But I think the second half of this anime saves it. I think the second half of the anime really shows you how complex the plot is, and it leads to a lot of imagination for season 2. And like I said, I think season two, I think the second half, of this anime saved the first half, but there were also some very appealing aspects to the first half. So don't be surprised if some people disagree with that and said, I've loved it since the first episode. I'm just kind of slow like a fucking tortoise. And there were things that were just blowing up in my mind, couldn't figure out, couldn't keep up. And because with these high, fast, action-packed animes, it's hard for me to get super attached to these characters. But then it sorts to off balance and offset, because after like the third episode or whatever, they do a much better job. You start caring more about the relationships among them. I think in the beginning, I was a little annoyed with the main character because she was trying to show grit, but I didn't feel like there was enough there, especially for somebody as young as her to be a major in the military. So often I felt like at times she could be a little bit of a crybaby, a little bit of a whiner. And so I was kind of like, is this the typical female role that's been written by a man and doesn't know how to write women? We saw that with Sakura in Naruto. We saw that. We've seen that countless times in plenty of animes, but it starts off that way, and she has this fierceness of her that grows with the anime. She becomes more assertive, and even in the beginning, she kind of sticks up for what she believes in. So with what I'm saying, it doesn't really make sense. How she interacts with the squadron is very different from how she interacts with other people, and she just gets stronger and more firmer. I feel like she's developed in a really good way, which is very important for these sorts of animes. And so what I will tell you is that although at first I was kind of turned off by this anime, the more I watched it and the more I thought about it and the more I took energy to write my article for it, and as well as covering this anime using all the imagery and going back and getting the scenes to make this video, I like it more and more. I also took me a long ass time trying to get images that wouldn't have any spoilers either. So there's a lot of shit that I want to show you that I can't. For instance, against the enemy, the Legion, they have all these different types of machinery, and they do different things, and they're capable of different things. And you can see that in certain environments, some excel and others don't. And so you can see the strategy that's involved, and that's important for the battle mechanics, and that's important in terms of how the mechanics of the machinery are drawn, how they're illustrated. So when they say this machinery can't do this in this terrain, you look at it and you say, that makes perfect sense. For anyone who's played any of those war games, especially with World War II tanks and machinery and things like that, you'll definitely understand that a little bit better than the common reader. So I've spent a lot of time studying tanks in World War II in my off time. Plenty of video games encompass that, and it makes a lot of sense. And you see the viewpoint of all sides to a degree, not all sides, but many. And you also see what the long-term strategy is of the Alba and the people, as well as where their line of thinking is coming from. And so a lot of that means it's imperative to make sure that it follows suit with the overall plot, or you'll feel lost or you'll feel discrepancies. So with that being said, I definitely recommend it. I would probably give it I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. I feel like I'm being a little cynical here. I don't mean to be cynical, but 7 out of 10 is a really good score. I'm a little bit more harsh with the scoring, but I'm a pretty easy guy as to whether I like the anime or not. So I'm just doing that scoring system based on nothing other than trying to give a score as to how I like it. But I think season 2 is going to tell me a lot. Season 2, the direction of it, where it's going, how the plot line forms. I think they did a great job recovering from the first half, but even in the first opening scenes, it made me feel like I was in a war zone. And yeah, so I want to hear your opinions on it. Definitely watch this anime, watch the first season, first 11 episodes are out, and then they have a recap. I definitely recommend watching the recap. Usually I fuck off with the recaps, but the recaps was very good for me, because I was able to understand things a little bit better, and I was able to kind of bring everything. It's almost like the creators, I don't know why they did it, but it's almost like the creators like understood, like, this might be a little confusing, so let's reshape everything. Let's summarize everything all over again. And there were certain things that I missed that the recap reminded me of. So I would like to hear your opinions in the comments if you do watch it. And thank you for watching my review. I'll get better as I go with this. Oh my God, like I got images and shit going on. I feel fucking awesome. That's Attack on Titan. That's not the right one. All right. You guys have a good day. Tell me what you think. Bye, boo-boos.